There are sounds the human body is not built to understand. A thunderclap, a cannon, the sudden fracture of stone. But in August of 1883, in the narrow waters between Java and Sumatra, a mountain produced a sound so immense that it seemed to leave the category of sound altogether. It moved across the ocean as pressure. It struck ships at sea. It passed through the atmosphere like an invisible wall. Later, people would try to describe it with numbers. Some would claim Krakatoa reached 310 decibels, but that number was never measured at the time. The decibel scale did not even exist yet. It is a modern reconstruction, built from Victorian pressure records and later calculations. The truth is stranger than the myth. Krakatoa did not simply erupt. It announced itself to the planet. And because this was 1883, the planet was ready to hear it. By then, undersea telegraph cables had begun to stitch continents together. Messages could move beneath oceans faster than any ship. A disaster in the Dutch East Indies no longer had to remain a rumor traveling at the speed of sail. For perhaps the first time in history, a geological catastrophe became a global media event. Not months later, not as legend, but almost in real time. A volcano had become a broadcast. And the question is not only how a mountain could destroy itself, it is how the echo of that destruction changed the world it left behind. We often measure destruction in human terms. We use the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima as a dark benchmark for explosive power. The eruption of Krakatoa was 10,000 times more powerful than Hiroshima. It possessed an explosive yield of 200 megatons. That makes this single volcanic event 4 times more powerful than the Tsar bomb, the largest thermonuclear weapon humanity has ever managed to detonate. But what actually causes a mountain to detonate with that much force? Krakatoa stood in the Sunda Strait in Indonesia, a place where the earth is restless beneath the water. To people living nearby, the volcano had been a presence on the horizon, dangerous but familiar. Then, in 1883, the signs began to accumulate. Steam, ash, explosions, a sky darkening over the strait. For months, the island seemed to be opening from within. Pressure was building under the surface, inside a system of magma, gas, rock, and seawater. The exact sequence is still studied, but the broad mechanism is clear. The volcano was becoming a natural pressure bomb. On the morning of August 27th, the final bombs arrived. 4 paroxysmal explosions were recorded at roughly 5:30, 6:44, 10:02, and 10:52 in the morning. As the violent eruptions of the morning emptied the magma chamber, a portion of the island structurally failed and subsided, plunging the volcano's open vents below sea level. Millions of gallons of freezing ocean water rushed directly into a chamber of superheated magma. When water touches magma, it instantly flashes into steam. And steam expands roughly 1,700 times in volume compared to liquid water. But trapped beneath the crust of cooling magma, the steam had nowhere to go. The volcano became a titanic pressure cooker. When the rock could no longer contain the pressure, it failed. The resulting steam-driven explosion shattered the island. When the volcano fell inward, it displaced the sea around it. Water that had been calm moments before became a moving wall. Not a normal wave, but a surge carrying the force of a collapsing island. The collapse of the island didn't just push air, it pushed the ocean. Tsunamis over 100 feet tall radiated outward. Villages along the shores of Java and Sumatra were hit with almost no protection and almost no warning. The official death toll was later recorded as 36,417, but that number is considered low. Modern estimates account for many unrecorded victims in remote coastal settlements. One of the most haunting is the story of the steamship Baru, an iron vessel reportedly carried inland by the tsunami and left stranded far from the water, deep among the trees. A ship belongs to the sea. To find one in the jungle is to understand the wave without needing a diagram. It means the ocean, for a few minutes, entered the land as an invader. It lifted steel, wood, cargo, and bodies. It crossed boundaries that humans assume are permanent. Then it withdrew and left evidence behind. But Krakatoa's reach did not stop at the coastline. Above the volcano, the eruption column had injected ash and aerosols high into the atmosphere. Fine particles entered air currents that did not belong to Indonesia alone. They traveled around the world. In the months that followed, people far from the Sunda Strait began seeing strange skies. Sunsets deepened into violent reds and purples. The sun sometimes appeared dimmed, distorted, or unnaturally colored. The atmosphere itself had become a screen, and the eruption was being projected across it. This was the second broadcast. Not through telegraph cables, through light. In Europe and elsewhere, artists, poets, and ordinary observers watched the sky change. Some later interpretations have connected these volcanic sunsets to the eerie red atmosphere in Edvard Munch's The Scream. That is the unsettling reach of Krakatoa. It did not only kill nearby, it altered the color of evenings. It entered newspapers. It entered scientific instruments. It entered art. A catastrophe that began in a tropical strait became a planetary mood. And then, after the violence, came the silence. The old Krakatoa was gone, but in 1927, a new peak broke the surface of the water, rising from the submerged caldera. They named it Anak Krakatau, the child of Krakatau. It has been growing ever since. In 2018, a portion of this new mountain collapsed into the sea, triggering a tsunami that killed over 400 people. The child is active. The magma chamber is there, and the ocean is still waiting. We humans pride ourselves on our immense power. We build deafening jet engines. We split the atom and engineer thermonuclear bombs capable of leveling cities. We think we have conquered the physical limits of our world. But out there, in the dark waters of the Sunda Strait, nature proves a terrifying reality. In the face of a trembling earth and boiling seas, human power is nothing but a whisper against the loudest sound in history.